Select character screen. Press square to continue. Select character screen. Press square to select Ranger King. Loading. Please wait. Loading. Please wait. For text chat with other players, press the left button to open chat. Type message, then press square to send chat. For proximity voice chat with other players, press and hold the left button while speaking. Haunted Ice Cloud says, "Dang, was hoping to fight Kepri for artifact quest." Minouth says, "Type X-Hive-L to work on learning the mechanics of the." Mugsai says, "X-Skull." Shot D says, "A data equals 0, traveling //A." Jeremiah says, "Room for 1 DPS at second boss hive." Harold Carsworth says, "How do I get the Mount quest in level 50 and have not gotten it yet?" Tarmady 789 says, "ECR farm, Mystic Doubloon, at CK, Undead Clearing, join my raid June 20th, type X Skull." Heartnemus says, "Lol." My Staffar says, "What is max gear score now and how to get it?" Missy says, "Missy's WT head to beds." Cracker 102 says, "X Skull." T0RVC says, "X Skull, D." Heartnemus says, "GS 725 max." Kuki says, "How do you swap weapons?" Dancel Cole says, "Moodndu." WLCCA says, "LF inductor craft tower shield." Dovakeen says, "You say, swap, out loud." Bentley Adams says, "W." Krenov says, "Ulmao." Jeremiah says, "K full ATM, we'll hit up if we need fresh meat. I mean more peeps." Bubby says, "LOL." Just a Puppet says, "Thing is you can state him whatever, but I at least defend the player trying to play the game and not be bothered with things that can be found outside the game." Tarmady 789 says, "ECR farm, Mystic Doubloon, at CK, Undead Clearing, join my raid August 20th, type X Skull." Kuki says, "Seems legit, now my wife thinks I want to swap her out." Kansas says, "X Skull." Lena GZ says, "LF inductor craft amulet." Dovakeen says, "Psych." Missy says, "Bed's last call." XX Dieselx says, "Hive LF1 healer and DPS link weapons in PM." Sechi says, "X Skull." Just a Puppet says, "Can she bleep food? If so, I'll swap with you." Superhop 996 says, "X Missy's." Has got Agan says, "I." John Blazkowitz says, "NP." Minouth says, "Come on peeps, we just need bodies that want to progress." Alucard says, join House Anarchy today. Missy's says, Missy's R1 at Aram XR June 2nd 20th. Dovakeen says, you can also say out loud, Jeff Bezos swap my weapons please, it works sometimes.
Anytime on the
Kuki says, damn now I got to find the profanity filter. Tarmady 789 says, X skull meet at Salty Island churn. Just a Puppet says, chat settings. Kuki says, this update messed up her settings. Unwanted Reaper says, W. DIT Scared says, this update bleep my ooey. Warrior Mad says, Warrior Mad gives the thumbs up. Tarmady 789 says, ECR Farm, Mystic Doubloon, at CK, Undead Clearing, join my raid October 20th type X skull. Curtis the Man says, can someone PvP flag outside Windsword with me, I need banner fragments. Pirate Rum says, DPS with a data equals 0, Serenity, /LF Hive. Minout says, this is an open invitation to learn the dynamics of a complex event and no one is interested. Just a Puppet says, this update is a bleepooey. Parsh says, yo what's the new level cap? Stow for the God says, I'll join. Bone 420 says, X skull. Da Bacon Maker says, 65. Sabara says, 65. Ayesha says, why won't it let me change my faction? Dovakeen says, Bezos can eat my page 00 po 0. Tarmady 789 says, X soul start 3 min. Parsh says, oh damn TF. Laia says, X skull. Minout says, we have gotten his stam bar down 3 times and him down by 1 bubble with just 3 ppl, come learn and play. Molasses says, uninstall then, stay logged out so I can steal your tag in 180 days. Tarmady 789 says, X skull start 3 min. Unib says, running Amari X gaff anyone? Cracker 102 says, Key Company is recruiting all active players. DM me if interested in a laid-back company. --PVX Discord not required. Tarmady 789 says, X skull meet at Salty Island churn. Parsh says, have they increased leveling speed starting from LVL1? Sabara says, invite Unibs. Minout says, fire is preferred but bring your best DPS weps. XV16 says, X skull. Minout says, fire is preferred but bring your best DPS weps. Kuki says, test bleep bleep mother bleep bleep. Hello Newman says, X Hive DPS. Just a Puppet says, what does it say on your character bio page for why you can't change faction?
Step right up for a
Kuki says, yep, turned off filter.
2 teams enter.
Curtis the Man says, can someone PvP flag outside Windsword with me, I need banner fragments. Caravan says, X skull.
Are you
Curtis the Man says, can someone PvP flag outside Windsword with me, I need banner fragments. Hello Newman says, X Hive. Haunted Ice Cloud says, is Helianthus spawning? Dance of the Fireflies. Cobra Gamez says, what's Dark Matter for? Kuki says, okay, back to how do you change the equipped weapon? DIT Scared says, D's nuts. Turkinator says, X skull. Spuck the White says, what's the going price for inductor crafts these days? Tarmady 789 says, X skull. Minout says, fire is preferred but bring your best DPS weps. Kuki says, okay, back to how do you change the equipped weapon? DIT Scared says, D's nuts. Turkinator says, X skull. Spuck the White says, what's the going price for inductor crafts these days? Buttered Bread says, out 4 francs to change weapons. Sija says, did they rise gear score? Tarmady 789 says, X Skull started good luck. Do IT Scared says, know that for free recall. Buttered Bread says, oh yeah my bad. Angelizer says, a data equals 0, powerful honing stone, slash a data equals 1, powerful honing stone, slash a. Butterburger says, yeah. Just a Puppet says, no they downgraded gear score. Just a Puppet says, they went from bleep. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Minouth says, type X hive L to work on learning the mechanics of the loading. Please wait. ZJ says, anyone knows the best way to get gold? Minouth says, this is an open invitation to learn the dynamics of a complex event hyphen and no one is interested. The Tripod Legend says, anyone wanna Q Glacial Tarn? ZJ says, I meant money. Androsis says, X. Minouth says, type X hive L to work on learning the mechanics of the Lord Joe Varks says, scam people. Bryacarol says, if you're interested in joining a fast-growing company that wars in about 45 minutes please head to Monarch's Bluff. Company name is, I Identify AS Daddy, Discord code ZCN6T787E. Come join the voice. Jukeja3 says, X Hive. Androsis says, Hive. Minouth says, fire is preferred but bring your best DPS weps. Jukeja3 says, X Hive DPS. Arleina says, looking for more to learn the Hive mechanics at first mob come join and learn him with Minouth join us. Some may call me Tim says, X Hive. Mint Boy says, X Hive. Dwemer says, Hive is past level 60 right? Turkinator says, X Hive. Korozok says, Q Oper. Just a Puppet says, Lurch is that you? Bryacarol says, chat. Rift says, what is the new zone? Fub20 says, Fub20 s assoit. Lucadian says, Missy's says, Missy's WT head to trib. Shadowstorm012 says, X Hive. Gnome Live says, X Hive. Just a Puppet says, what new zone? Rody Simus says, X Race. I'm Aloy says, a data equals 0, engineer hat, slash a data equals 1, engineer pants, slash a WTS. 0 Pence Batoni says, X Race. Missy says, trib last call. Just a Puppet says, all they did was revamp a zone and added to it. Gnome Live says, X Hive. Cobra Games says, are the blooming patterns from last Halloween worth anything still or not? Returning player and I have a ton of them lol. Poppin' Off says, Ousty Priest, Monkey, Alpaca, Penguin, Petard, Hussite Wagon and Chakram Thrower. The Tripod Legend says, OPR. Just a Puppet says, they listed that on the news page. Goose Toots says, XWT. Just a Puppet says, go read it. Techno Kitty says, where did Talvium go? Sir Dipshite says, not really since gear score has raised. Darkling says, DPS LFG Hive. Trooper 4x4 says, ill DPS hive. Missy says, Trid-gu-no goblins accepted, take care of each other and GL3. Trooper 4x4 says, ill DPS hive. Zemaki says, Zemaki sits. Little Rat Goblin says, that's rude. Darmok Ortega says, man. SNS is in such a good place now. Techno Kitty says, there's no Talvium guys. My Staffar says, can I up my old 700 GS legendary gear to 725? Dove Akin says, you can now actually jump. Just a Puppet says, maybe. Dove Akin says, and swim. Just a Puppet says, might want to read patch notes. The Kid Sit says, SNS is no bueno. Lily Lazarus says, left bumper left stick in. Shadow Cloudbore says, a data equals 0, as its staff, /a. Bug20 says, hi guy. Just a Puppet says, I'm really wondering how most remember to breath. Cobra Gamez says, wait, are umbral shards useless now LMFAO? Lil Musty says, yes. Didus Diddler says, do PPL even use the Exhibition Finder? Cobra Gamez says, no way, I have so many saved up, rip. I'm Aloy says, Salagiat. Lil Musty says, salvage for 0.01 cent each. I'm Aloy says, got some mana for umbral. Angelizer says, X-Hive DPS. Inri says, crazy how this game went from 4K players to 50K plus. Image says, you mine it. Gabe B says, how long before it's back to 4K? Just a Puppet says, it's because of the rebrand. I'm Aloy says, how crazy is that's right. I'm Aloy says, people calling this game dead is despair. Chicken Sauce says, lol Cobra, I have over 100k of those things XD. Just a Puppet says, look at all the streamers that are getting paid by AGS, there's a list of them. James Longstreet says, how's the update? Image says, do I have to join a company for this war? Dwarf Loon Floyd says, need 1 DPS final boss gen reg. Chicken Sauce says, Didus, I wish they would. Blood Gambit says, the numbers will fall again, but I think a lot of console players will stay simply because console doesn't have as many MO options. Stacked Lukens says, anybody have any tips? Gabe B says, don't waste your college years. I'm Aloy says, X-Gen will help you. Chicken Sauce says, I'm glad the console players are here, hopefully they will want to do some expeditions. Korozok says, X-Trib. Inri says, where can I find builds for this game? Ain't bleep online. Dumpcakes84 says, X-Hive Healer. Afterlight says, just because something has a flared base doesn't mean you should. Salty Pringler says, how do you get to PvP Island? Luckage 387 says, X-Hive DPS. Noble Duelist says, live on Twitch at Noble Duelist TTV. New, returning, and veteran players come in and ask anything about New World or hang out and vibe with us. We are clearing Hive of Gorgon ATM. Bentley Adams says, New World bleep. Not Edibles says, where my og Plutonians? Noble Duelist says, live on Twitch at Noble Duelist TTV. New, returning, and veteran players come in and ask anything about New World or hang out and vibe with us. We are clearing Hive of Gorgon ATM. Blood Gambit says, you can't find builds for this game? Lol, there are too many builds for New World. Inri says, all from like 2022. Betsr 12 Washenbeard says, Baginst. Wilster says, X-Hive DPS. Betsr 12 Washenbeard says, easy builds. Blood Gambit says, most of them are still viable. Pike Stonehelm says, Pike Stonehelm gives the thumbs up. Just a Puppet says, Noble, how much is AGS paying the content creators? Angelizer says, X-Hive DPS. Sarah Slays Au says, X-Wall. Irekai says, wanna kill treasure boss X up. As I lay dying says, no one cares about DTV. Buried Mythos says, Bezos pays them himself. Korozok says, X-Trib. Shiz says, X-Wall. Stacked Lucan says, Rip Will Smith. Wishitwasiso says, is there still starting areas that you and your friends have to play the MSQ in diff areas? Matt Nips says, am I tripping or did they update this game recently? Blood Gambit says, just load on Shirking Heels for PvP and any build will be good. Shiz says, X-Human. Raytazit says, Matt, you're definitely tripping. Durley says, I mean true. Durley says, Shirking Heels is lovely. M0N5E says, I need friends. Gregory Jones Jr. says, how do I transfer characters on Xbox? Erok Von Hammer says, don't we all? Blood Gambit says, we are all friends here. Lil Musty says, is there something that has to be done before Invasion of Artemis procs? Stacked Lucan says, I'll be your friend for $5 in HR. Blood Gambit says, JK. Maggie Bloomsday says, so now that we're not repairing gear, what's the penalty for dying? Nothing. Buried Mythos says, your time. The Eperlana says, did they fix the 725 artifact bug? Blood Gambit says, and shame. Nersrich says, X-Hive FSDPS. Degalis says, you lose your dignity. Gnome Live says, X-Hive. Just a Puppet says, lol them fix something. Buried Mythos says, Bezos comes to your house and sells your PC. That guy says, LF1 DPS Hive, no mechanics. Zigreeks says, LF1 meter Starstone Barrows. Buried Mythos says, and you have to buy Amazon Prime. Maggie Bloomsday says, that's harsh. Pippi Longstock says, why can I not transfer to another server yet? Shiken Sauce says, salvaging my storage full of awesome gear that is now worthless is painful. Can't ever give it to anyone cause leveling is so fast they wouldn't use it lol. I'm Aloy says, you can't transfer for new server. Just a Puppet says, because Legacy can't transfer characters to fresh start. Zigreeks says, LF1 meter Starstone Barrows Expedition. Hollowpoint 2141 says, what server do you wanna transfer to? Just a Puppet says, damn read the website. Ute says, LVL60 coming back, do I just salvage all my old bleep?
Something.
Just a Puppet says, no.
I can feel it.
Hollowpoint 2141 says, yes.
They were
Just a puppet says, no.
and I believed with their return,
Ikoria says, maybe.
it's impossible. It's now
Varied Mythos says, maybe.
I knew you had a warrior's heart.
Snow is Unreal says, a data equals 0, Apex Gold Cursed Code of the Ranger, / a nice endgame.
I would prove the
Ow.
blood of my father flowed through my veins.
Just a puppet says, no.
I found this land.
Ute says, lol.
Mountain horse in Millennia.
Hollow Point 2141 says, what level 60 gear is worth keeping puppet?
It will take more than keen sense.
Gregory Jones Jr. says, Valhalla Tuactica. Chicken, Sauce says, there's not much use to keeping it puppet.
One soul. Two.
Kirknos says, why is the transmog system disabled? Matthew Young says, he's got on full void.
Joined our cause.
Just a puppet says, I'm not wearing your gear, so should I know this? Matthew Young says, antique. Sir Dipshite says, BNB mutated one need full lobby. Item says, how can I get a octillery here? Pippi Longstock says, can fresh start transfer to legacy? Come Gutters says, come Gutters waves. Hollow Point 2141 says, yeah they can but why would they lol? Just a puppet says, yup. Item says, needed FR my house. Minouth says, Hive LGDPS. Harsh says, why are my main story quests LVL7 when I'm like LVL45 or SMTHN lol? Varied Mythos says, new story. Noble Duelist says, live on Twitch at Noble Duelist TTV. New, returning, and veteran players come in and ask anything about New World or hang out and vibe with us. We are clearing Hive of Gorgon ATM. Noble Duelist says, live on Twitch at Noble Duelist TTV. New, returning, and veteran players come in and ask anything about New World or hang out and vibe with us. We are clearing Hive of Gorgon ATM. Harsh says, kinda sounds like I might as well make a new char then. Varied Mythos says, that's what I did. Harsh says, valid, you didn't stay on the new character servers. Lady Muffins says, a data equals 0, heartgem, / a doesn't leave inventory. Varied Mythos says, I didn't realize this was a legacy. Varied Mythos says, and decided F it. Matthew Young says, welcome. Harsh says, gotcha lol. T0ME says, XWT. Harsh says, new character server sounds like it could be cool for equalish PvP again like at launch, but I don't have any expansions so I don't have no mount. Harsh says, kinda sucks. Shiz says, XWT. Varied Mythos says, my character looked bleep cause of the new cosmetics. Korozok says, XWT. That guy says, LF1M DPS Hive. Turkinator says, X Hive. Zigreeks says, LF1 meter Starstone Barrows. Varied Mythos says, I also don't really PvP so theoretically a legacy server shouldn't be an issue. Varied Mythos says, ideally you. Captain Damien says, I play on Marama on PC. Trying game on Xbox. Minouth says, kill the shard. Just a puppet says, thing is so many left here for the new servers. Harsh says, I'll vote the PvP in this game.
This changes everything.
Sir Dipshite says, need healer / tank BNB mutated one.
Beneath the eternal
Shiz says, XWT.
rider is sacred.
Just a puppet says, Mara had players.
Time and effort.
ITZ while IWRLD says, Hive of Gorgon Group.
I hope you're
Varied Mythos says, I was debating switching to a non-legacy.
to test your skills.
Varied Mythos says, but I don't think I can. ZJ says, I mean, is there anything new on the new server?
A short distance course.
J Rebel OC says, hey Keith.
Stay aware of your surroundings and
ZJ says, mostly the same, right?
any spirit travel.
Just a Puppet says, you can go but you can't take your tune.
If your eyes are keen enough,
Willard says, Willard dances.
fate is kinder to the bold.
Varied Mythos says, yeah, just everyone isn't level 65. Captain Damien says, barely. ITZ while IWRLD says, X-Hive. ZJ says, the only difference is the players. Just a Puppet says, same crap on there as is here, just more players. ZJ says, yeah, basically. Garuva says, asterisk hands everyone a peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwich asterisk. Weekend Mage says, X. Sheely MX33 says, X Merc anyone? ZJ says, so not good if you aren't 65 to move there anyways, unless you start new. Harsh says, keep the thing away from me. Varied Mythos says, but at least nodes aren't being farmed as Mook. Just a Puppet says, well hey, now you can't give me that without adding Fluffnutter. ITZ while IWRLD says, LFG Hive. Willard says, Willard dances. Varied Mythos says, half tempted to buy the DLC now so I can have a horse. Jurak says, Danka Danka. Garuva says, ill Fluffnutter these nuts. Varied Mythos says, but I'm so used to traveling via Hatchet Berserk. Sir Dipshite says, need one more DPS and tank for BNB mutated one. Lil Musty says, get the horse. Pants says, XBNBM1 any roll. Just a Puppet says, I only bought the DLC for 2 reasons. ZJ says, the horse. ZJ says, lol. Missy's says, Missy's WT head to aisle. Unwanted Reaper says, mounts. Varied Mythos says, flail and horse. Camel 34 says, no more repair items. ZJ says, Yipo ha. Mustang Vern says, no more repairs on gear. ZJ says, I bought it for the horse too low. Just a Puppet says, 1 mount, 2 because they weren't including the base game at first. Sir Dipshite says, need tank for BNB mutated 1. Sir Dipshite says, won't let me invite DK. That guy says, LF2 DPS Hive, no mechanics / Discord. East Cam says, X for Hive of Gorgons. Chiefs 73 says, craftin' bugs now. Valkyrie says, Hive needs 1 DPS for second boss. M4 Kanai says, X DPS and healer - din shipyard - M1 - come get the butcher artifact - join lobby. ITZ while IWRLD says, Infer Hive. John Smith says, wow, the corpse crone is actually mommy, WTF is this? M4 Kanai says, X DPS and healer - din shipyard - M1 - come get the butcher artifact - join lobby. Celine00 says, exile. Varied Mythos says, disgusting. Sir Dipshite says, try to join through the lobby TK. Varied Mythos says, where is it so I know where to avoid it? M4 Kanai says, X DPS and healer - din shipyard - M1 - come get the butcher artifact - join lobby. John Smith says, yea, avoid the main quest at Weaver's Fen to avoid it. Sterex says, can you upgrade 690 gear score to 700? Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Grumpy Ram 180 says, he made me do it. Buried Mythos says, wonderful. Buried Mythos says, I mean, terrible. Valkyrie says, need one more DPS for Hive. Buried Mythos says, never doing main story again. Apocalypse says, need 1 DPS for Hive 2 boss. John Smith says, very unfortunate, hope you don't stumble upon it. Spuck the White says, or has anyone been able to do it? M4 Kanai says, X DPS and healer hyphen din shipyard hyphen M1 hyphen come get the butcher artifact hyphen join lobby. Spuck the White says, keep getting, crafting attempt failed. ZJ says, did the story rest too? Just a Puppet says, oh come on, don't you want to run the MSQ with every single beginning and end to them being a cushion? Alexander says, you reload. M4 Kanai says, X DPS and healer hyphen din shipyard hyphen M1 hyphen come get the butcher artifact hyphen join lobby. ZJ says, that's why. Eddie the Cat says, Jaslp sad. ZJ says, in like why the bleep it's back on story mode from start lol. XV16 says, a data equals 0, cowl of power, /a. Menouth says, Hive needs a second tank. Buried Mythos says, I feel like companies are a lot less important now. I and your face 2 day says, you're saying it's easier to solo. Buried Mythos says, when I first started the 3 were like right in front of you and you had to commit. El Inquisitor says, what's the difference with the beta? Jacob says, what is your Serenity quest? Eddie the Cat says, Scaft's head. ZJ says, true, now the companies are like meh. Eddie the Cat says, Stafflekage. Ronald White says, Ronnie. Killian says, Spankus Clam Shack is LF members of all experience levels. Looking to get consistent groups for Hive and Oper and help out players who are leveling. Send a DM for info/invite. Buried Mythos says, I miss the loyalty and banter. Tavane says, need DPS for Tempest Run. Aldine Mavani says, X-Hive DPS. Neen Zero says, X-Hive range DPS. Buried Mythos says, Marauders were the Crayon Eaters. Menouth says, need to. M4 Kanai says, X DPS and healer hyphen din shipyard hyphen M1 hyphen come get the butcher artifact hyphen join lobby. Andre 104 says, ofall/genesis/gf. Buried Mythos says, no one liked the syndicate. Tavane says, 725 artifact crafting still disabled, right? Menouth says, bring your best DPS. M4 Kanai says, can someone help with Dynasty M1? Need 1 DPS and 1 healer. Cold Wolf EGS says, a data equals 0, hearts tendril trinket, /a. Idea 22 says, fresh start. Cold Wolf EGS says, a data equals 0, Amrine Excavator's amulet, /a. Cold Wolf EGS says, a data equals 0, schematic, steel settler's stove, /a. Menouth says, I want boss snipers and bowmen I know you're out there, I need 2 hard hitters.
Other races.
Arleina says, looking for a few more to learn the Hive raid X Hive L if you want to come help learn the even.
The importance of this book. Craft the right
Big
victims.
Salad says, anyone wanna help with Shadows of Malevolence event?
Here is a recipe my father taught me.
Aldine Mavani says, X Hive L.
Yes.
Tavane says, need DPS for Tempest Run March 5th. Luna Light says, Healeds for BNB. M4 Kanai says, X DPS and healer din shipyard M1 come get the butcher artifact join lobby. Quarter BR33D says, DPS LFG for Hive. Neen 0 says, X Hive DPS. Vertisakia says, can DPS for Tempest. Andre 104 says, Ofal/Genesis/GF. Lizia says, what's the point in unlocking fast travel spots if you still have to pay for them? Andre 104 says, Ofal/Genesis/GF. Varied Mythos says, you get Azith very easily. Varied Mythos says, don't worry too much about the cost. Nami Tenshi says, plus do you still want to run? Ephraim says, any fix for voice coming through my TV and not my headset like the rest of game volume? M4 Kanai says, X DPS and healer din shipyard M1 come get the butcher artifact join lobby. M4 Kanai says, X DPS and healer din shipyard M1 come get the butcher artifact join lobby. Zorvis says, alright, any questions? Princess Natasha says, anyone need a healer? Invite. Banana BR3D says, X Hive DPS. Nozdar says, a data equals 0, blue winged Serpy, /A. Yamnesty says, X Hive evade RPFS. Spuck the White says, so I just spent 10 mins trying unsuccessfully to do an inductor craft, every single time, crafting attempt failed, cool gain AGS. Lena GZ says, LF3 perk inductor amulet crafter. Spuck the White says, even restarting didn't fix. M4 Kanai says, X healer din shipyard M1 come get the butcher artifact join lobby. Wolverine says, X Hive DPS. Bentley Adams says, X Imperial. Sean Zero she says, X Hive DPS. M4 Kanai says, X healer din shipyard M1 come get the butcher artifact join lobby. M4 Kanai says, can a healer help us with din shipyard M1? Big Cactus says, need to. Altair says, X imp. Kelrise says, Kelrise flips a table. Kelrise says, Kelrise dances. Kelrise says, Kelrise flips a table. Kelrise says, Kelrise dances. Kelrise says, Kelrise dances. Kelrise says, Kelrise dances. Gregory Jones Jr. says, what level required for shipyard artifact? Rex Omnia says, anyone able to tell me how to pick up Invasion of Artemis? Says it's in New Corsica but don't see it here. Big Cactus says, we got a 3. Bentley Adams says, X-Imp. F Wheat Chicken says, hi. Bumbu Claude says, X-Hive Bleed Rapier DPS. Phoenix King says, X-Imp. Big Cactus says, join us. M4 Kanai says, can someone help with Dynasty M1? Need 1 DPS and 1 healer. M4 Kanai says, X healer hyphen din shipyard hyphen M1 hyphen come get the butcher artifact hyphen join lobby. Bentley Adams says, X imp. Scytherx78 says, hey DJ you and Bleep we all just running around minding our own and you had to be a losser. Bentley Adams says, X imp. Sabura1 says, X hive. Irvid says, LFBNB DPS. Chko says, that's not very nice. Gregory Jones Jr. says, LV36 damage / healer. ITZ Pushin P says, LFAWT. Cold Wolf EGS says, does anyone know how to tell if something can sell or not? Taboo Q says, X for hive. Cold Wolf EGS says, asterisk. Chief Tiny Pecker says, X hive DPS. Irvid says, LF4 all rolls BNB. Bentley Adams says, X imp run. Marcus K says, X hive DPS. Scytherx78 says, look at the losser. Cracker 102 says, any issues with faction swapping? Anyone? Sija says, highlight the item look on the bottom. Von Hellsmith says, if you hover over it as long as it's not bound to player you can sell it. Sija says, it will say bind on pickup. Sija says, in Geeb. Von Hellsmith says, it'll say it in green at the lower part. Just a Puppet says, WTF is a losser. M4 Kanai says, X healer hyphen din shipyard hyphen M1 hyphen come get the butcher artifact hyphen join lobby. M4 Kanai says, can someone help with dynasty M1? Need 1 DPS and 1 healer. Monkhypes says, X hive hyphen healer. Dylan I says, they didn't spawn yet lol. Von Hellsmith says, artifact perks are mostly predetermined. Phoenix King says, you literally choose the perk, what do you mean reroll lol? Cold Wolf EGS says, thank you. Whippa says, does this game have a sprint or no? Katani says, my man tits are perky. Von Hellsmith says, yeah if you choose a last bleep perk it's on you. Whippa says, tie. Sterex says, that's fire then. Phoenix King says, it says that but you choose it. M4 Kanai says, X healer hyphen din shipyard hyphen M1 hyphen come get the butcher artifact hyphen join lobby. Marcus K says, X DPS hive. Andre 104 says, Ofal / Genesis / GF. Cold Wolf EGS says, when it say bind on pickup, does that mean I can't sell it? Varied Mythos says, yes. Bentley Adams says, X imp run. Pan3R4 says, X merc. Dylan I says, they gots to spawn faster. Rabman says, pro. Von Hellsmith says, I hear the weekly Oper chest can. Taboo Q says, X for hive. Yayilo says, let me try. Dylan I says, yup. Vagaric says, only the weekly one but it's only by chance. Bentley Adams says, X imp run. Pan3R4 says, X merc. Dancel Cole says, X merc. Yayilo says, nah. Circahina A says, X merc. Stow for the God says, X merc. Dr. Ricky 420 says, X merc. Lil Joe Big Toe says, X merc. Ayesha says, any reason it won't let me change to Cove faction? Anyone? Xenophobia says, X-Merc. Dark Lord Cyclips says, damn, this server is glitchy since the update. Shiz says, X-Merc. Von Hellsmith says, WTS smelter pants and a data equals 0, lumberjack gloves, /A. Sad Xi says, X-Merc. Prediction says, cause purple is better. Altair says, X-Merc. Stacked Lukens says, Nate Lukens, Nate Lukens, Nate Lukens, Nate Lukens, Nate Lukens, Nate Lukens, Nate Lukens. Goose Toots says, X-Merc hyphen the invite didn't work. Little Anna says, X-Merc. Sabara says, late Nukens. Goose Toots says, tie. Curtis the Man says, easy 1k plus to anyone who is 205 armoring. Cobra Games says, did they get rid of ochre-colored teams? M4 Kanai says, can someone help with Dynasty M1? Need 1 DPS and 1 healer. Duncan Idaho Jr. says, they brought them into the MLB a while ago. Curtis the Man says, easy 1k plus to anyone who is 205 armoring. Raytazit says, typical woke brigade only focused on color. Apocalypse says, LF last DPS for Hive no basic mech. Pan3R4 says, Merc 14/20. Lupco says, LF 3 meter Gen GF. Von Hellsmith says, free data equals 0, lumberjack gloves /A if anyone wants them. J Rebel OC says, yay. XX DieselX says, Hive looking for 1 DPS link gear in PM. Gregory Jones Jr. says, MWX. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Dylan I says, UPS 52. XX DieselX says, 1 ST boss. Underworld God says, Jackin. Duke Abigor says, X Hive DPS. Loading. Please wait. Camel 34 says, Legion go. Miss Chaos says, Miss Chaos rolls a 4. Trugard says, Trugard sits. Miss Chaos says, Miss Chaos makes a gesture of appreciation. Trugard says, Trugard dances. Von Hellsmith says, free, lumberjack gloves, if anyone wants them. Miss Chaos says, Miss Chaos rolls a 1. Underworld God says, Jack. Bentley Adams says, Eximp. Dylan I says, nice you like the game you lol I only play this game after work. Miss Chaos says, Miss Chaos rolls a 1. Miss Chaos says, Miss Chaos rolls a 5. The Lord Crow says, hello MFS. Miss Chaos says, Miss Chaos rolls a 6. Miss Chaos says, Miss Chaos rolls a 2. Miss Chaos says, Miss Chaos rolls a 1. Lil Musty says, hello. Miss Chaos says, Miss Chaos rolls a 1. Green Arrow says, LFG Hive M1 ST time. Predacious says, where? Zala Savage says, Zala Savage rolls a 3. Camel 34 says, Arg me matey. Zala Savage says, Zala Savage rolls a 4. Zala Savage says, Zala Savage rolls a 6. I Dylan I says, I would group but it also decreases our XP. Duke Abigor says, X Hive DPS experienced. Zala Savage says, Zala Savage rolls a 3. Synax says, X Hive DPS. Idlebs says, need DPS for M Forge final boss only. Green Arrow says, LFG Hive DPS first time.
You've
Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Lupko says, LF 2 meter Gen GF. Snorga says, if you guys could just not slot and save me 30 minutes. Loading. Please wait. Gare says, test. Missy says, thank you all, see you tomorrow 33.
You've shown a rare
Eistenser says, X Merc.
I think even my forefathers
Tumbleproix says, X Bleep.
times I don't be intimidated by the track.
Superhawk 996 says, time Missies, you rock. Korozok says, X. Rilye says, X Cutlass. Missy says, 33. Nersrich says, X Urk. Nersrich says, X Merc. Carbon Dub says, X Cutlass. Mansur Tempe says, a data equals 0, Major Ancients Combat Trophy, slash a X1 a data equals 1, Major Corrupted Combat Trophy, slash a X2 WTS. I Dylan I says, no. Damn it. The Syndicate faction has thrown Eden Grove into a conflict state. They can now declare war. D-Bot says, X-Hive DPS hyphen rapier slash bow for ranged part, rapier slash spear bleed build for melee. I Dylan I says, did you build her camp near? Black Omando says, I need to kill Sir Ulfer. Snow is Unreal says, X-Hive. Lizia says, Lizia dances. Korozok says, X Cutlass. WLCCA says, LF Inductor Shield Craft. Lizia says, Lizia dances. Nersrich says, X Merc. Elena Deacon says, X Hive DPS. Carbon Dub says, X Cutlass. Storm Eye says, X Cutlass. D-Bot says, X Cutlass. Snow is Unreal says, X Hive DPS. Rift says, where do I level 60-65? I'm getting my bleep beat in this desert. Rilye says, X Cutlass. Phoenix King says, you need the expansion. Joe says, yar. I Dylan I says, the dessert. Lady Louvre says, X Merc. Rift says, I'm in Brimstone, I have the DLC, where should I go? Snarps says, can I level above level 50 without the DLC? Lupko says, LF 2 meter Gen GF. Severin says, quests and faction quests are good ways. I Dylan I says, I can help if you want. Tumbleproix says, Cutlass Elite June 20th. Aeternum says, sure, let's team up. Gerardo Pablo says, X Cutlass Elite. Igap says, I'm only one at Morningdale. Rex Omnia says, anyone able to tell me how to pick up Invasion of Artemis to get into Elysian? Donnie2 says, X Merc. Rex Omnia says, not on my map anywhere. Sam Paolo says, X. Borstock Brondar says, X Hive. Warden says, can expeditions be queued up via a finder? Or you have to go in person? Celine00 says, XWTCK. Bentley Adams says, X Cutlass Elite. I Dylan I says, he'll go to the city. Tumble Proyac says, Cutlass Elite August 20th. Wizard says, X Cutlass. Sheely MX33 says, X Merc. X Universe 8 says, X Cutlass. Covellington says, X Cutlass. Bentley Adams says, X Cutlass. Alex says, X Cutlass. C Tazuki says, X Cutlass. Sajitachi says, X Cutlass. Mrs. Goose says, X Cutlass. Spuck the White says, WTS Inductor for Armor /JC /Weapon /Engineering. Dwemer says, X Cutlass. Donnie 2 says, LF1 DPS 1 Healer for M2B and BP. Sheely MX33 says, doing Elite Chest Run, DM for Inv. Boondock Mac says, X Cutlass. Yeshuanga says, okay. 8 Lira Rokes says, why does this game run like complete bleep now? I Dylan I says, where do you want me to meet you? Lloyd Lucier says, where is the war? Big Defense says, a data equals 0, blunderbuss of the soldier, /A. I'm Aloy says, -1 Empaforge. Dresden says, is there PvP anywhere? Von Hellsmith says, WTS a data equals 0, smelters pants, /a 5k. Zach Winter says, at what point do I join a faction? I Dylan I says, PvP is arena and duels. The Garrick says, the whole island of PvP. Zonderas says, Cutlass keys my dude. Sheely MX33 says, X Merc, DM for Inv. Big Salad says, looking for more for Shadows of Malevolence event, have 3 people right now. Whiskey Glass says, X. Tumble Proyac says, Cutlass Elite in 1 min. Helix says, how do I turn off the auto speech? Filthy Gaming says, that's my nano. Sheely MX33 says, X Merc. Just a Puppet says, too bad you won't find any fair battles on PvP Island, it's all ranged players teamed up. Wizard says, X Cutlass. Rumor says, X Cutlass. ITZ Pushin P says, LFG4 Hive. Green Arrow says, LFG Hive. Just a Puppet says, auto speech settings. Helix says, the audio, it's speaking for itself. How do I turn it off? Tumble Proyac says, go. Helix says, okay thanks. Filthy Gaming says, square. Just a Puppet says, Shold paid attention to what you opted when you loaded the game. My Staffar says, tank or DPS LFG Hive. Big Salad says, X Shadows of Malevolence. ZJ says, lol. Camel 34 says, it happens, boy, S will be boys. Sheely MX33 says, X Marek, 1 group ready, DM for Inv. Cracker 102 says, Key Company, Cove, is recruiting all active players. DM me if interested in a laid-back company. --PVX Discord not required. Bulmani says, a data equals 0, hoplite boots, /a data equals 1, Gorgon's hand covers, /a. Madsa Queen says, X Merc. Donnie2 says, LF1 DPS and heals for M2B% BP. Whiskey Glass says, portals ain't up for mercs. Wizard says, X heals inv me. LeBaron says, you what is this messaging interface? Von Hellsmith says, WTS a data equals 0, smelter's pants, / a 5k that's half as much as the cheapest one in post BTW. Just a Puppet says, it's what AGS thought you would like. Matza Queen says, how about imp, then? LeBaron says, wait ifs here we are lol. Cracker 102 says, Ximp. Wizard says, at Donnie2's I am able to heal for B and BP but I need an inv. Nelsonin says, Chaos Carnival is looking for adventurers ready to dive into New World's toughest content. PvP, PvE, and a great community of mature players. Join us on Discord and be a part of something bigger. Just a Puppet says, I'm not telling you, it's in settings, maybe next time you'll pay attention to what you opt in. Also don't DM me. LeBaron says, KK. Just a Puppet says, that was Helix trying to get me to hold their hand. Dirts Max says, it seems all my skills have reset since I haven't played in a minute. Igup says, anybody fight up and scale? Bayhour says, 2. MV Britannia says, let me log in ag. Bakobus says, they redid the masteries, moved some around. XX Dieselx X says, Hive looking for FSDPS link gear in PM. Kingoad1 says, what's up with Outpost Rush? LeBaron says, it's like it's. LeBaron says, a new world. Just a Puppet says, took some stuff out of the weapon skills too. Banana BR3D says, X Hive. Xander says, W. Just a Puppet says, nerfed the hell out of GS, I lost 2k in damage. Matza Queen says, PvP is going on the PvP island. Shadow Storm 012 says, need one more for Dynasty Reg. Osam Paolo says, LF1 DPSB and BPM2. ITZ Pushin P says, LFG Hive. Yitha says, where is PvP Island? Glowing Battleborn says, if you're on console new to PvP and it's your first war, good luck. Xander says, X Dynasty DPS. Moonbuggy says, X Hive DPS Rapier and Bow. Just a Puppet says, northeast on the map. Matsa says, it's at the bottom of Cutlass Keys, the new stuff. Yoni says, GG. Just a Puppet says, northeast don't lie. Carlos Dark says, X Hive DPS. LeBaron says, oh bleep this server is cross-play. Damn GG's. Zala Savage says, I hope y'all lose. Von Hellsmith says, all servers are crossplay. Xanthier Undying says, Xanthier Undying bumps his fist. Xanthier Undying says, Xanthier Undying face bombs. LeBaron says, that's wild. Matsa says, have to have the DLC to go there. Just a Puppet says, all but console exclusives. LeBaron says, poor console. Moonbuggy says, XDPS Hive. Minouth says, come down and bail out to the sides lick to hatch. ITZ Pushin P says, X Hive DPS Fire Staff and Void Gauntlet. Erok Von Hammer says, game actually plays well on console. Curtius says, why play fresh start when you gonna get dicked down in Opers and 3v3s anyway? Diabolical says, KOPR my wife's BF said I could only play New World for so long. TH3 Third and 3 says, TH3 Third and 3 strikes a pose. Matsa says, console only servers only crossplay with console servers, I believe. Just a Puppet says, they had to have their own from the horrible PC players lol. Xanthier Undying says, Xanthier Undying gets frustrated. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Helix says, well, can't find it, settings don't show it. Sirkins says, my game is bugged and I have every weapon maxed now WTF. TH3 Third and 3 says, TH3 Third and 3 does a dainty twirl. Atropa 007 says, is Void Gauntlet good DPS or is it just buffs? Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. TH3 Third and 3 says, TH3 Third and 3 quakes in their boots. Loading. Please wait. Dirt Smacks says, can be DPS or buff. Donnie2 says, LF1 DPS B and BPM2. Curtius says, VG can be good DPS. Blue Tree says, any WTS going on? Matsa says, great if partnered with LS. M4 Kanai says, X all hyphen din shipyard hyphen M1 hyphen come get the butcher artifact hyphen join lobby. Von Hellsmith says, man I wish I coulda started on a less old server so people actually did stuff on here. Impossible to sell anything on post and nobody runs dungeons or any lower LVL stuff. Helix says, reset settings but nothing worked. Matsa says, it will get better. Trusted Abyss says, yo bleep console. Curtius says, used to have a almost unkillable VG/IG. Helix says, it's auto-speaking the bleep chat. Matsa says, lots of people are trying out fresh start. Helix says, don't be that guy. Travis Junkie 2 says, what's the new penalty for death now that there's no repairing? Atropa007 says, I tried googling it but there's several mixed comments about it. Just a Puppet says, that's why I also have a tune on Fresh Starts. M4 Kanai says, XDPS and healer din shipyard M1 come get the butcher artifact join lobby. Glowing Battleborn says, rally on B. Just a Puppet says, I knew everyone would leave here. My Staffar says, can I up my LVL 700 legendary gear to 725? Matsaqueen says, I haven't started playing mine yet. Big Cactus says, boss room archers got to go first. Courteous says, people are meta Andes. M4 Kanai says, XDPS and healer din shipyard M1 come get the butcher artifact join lobby. Courteous says, SNS or spear. Cobra Games says, wait, so what are gypsum orbs even for now? Von Hellsmith says, yeah, problem with Fresh Starts is restarting and I don't play enough to want to regrind and Ridger at 65 again. Matsaqueen says, they'll be back, very few will abandon their legacy 1000 plus tunes. Block Party says, is there a power LVL? Butterfly Girl says, Barton. Dirts Max says, 700 max last time I played, might have increased. Jim Bounty says, anyone help me kill Torug? Please. I'm Aloy says, where is Torug? Tidra says, he'll be back. Dwemer says, can a LVL 60 help? Just a Puppet says, they only have to log every 50 days or whatever to keep their tune's name. Von Hellsmith says, new max gear score is 725. M4 Kanai says, X-Healer din shipyard M1 come get the butcher artifact join lobby. Just a Puppet says, they won't ever lose the tune though. Hillian says, any Devourer groups? Osam Paolo says, LF1 DPSB and BPM2. Sheely MX33 says, looking for DPS/tank, Lazarus. My Staffar says, can I up my legendary 700 gear to 725? M4 Kanai says, can a healer help with Dynasty Shipyard M1? Jim Bounty says, dredged landing is where Thrug is. Matsaqueen says, they'll still be back sooner. Once they get to endgame and don't want to do all the high-level stuff over again. Von Hellsmith says, damn, just checked and I got 500 hours in this on Steam, what about you all? Cracker 102 says, that's it. Matsaqueen says, an embarrassing amount of hours. Beboop says, anyone selling golden scarab? PM me for price. Dromard says, 3,926. Jim Bounty says, in the bottom of the wilds. Beboop says, needing 6. Von Hellsmith says, you feel small compared to other people having thousands of hours. Sheely MX33 says, looking for DPS/tank Lazarus. Osam Paolo says, LF1 DPSB and BPM2X for Inv. Just a Puppet says, I don't care about my time and there's other things I worry about. Sibab always says, war sucks. Corbus says, duck. Jim Bounty says, just need to kill him to get my last Inferno quest done. Matsaqueen says, I'm gonna say 6k plus so I don't seem like a no-lifer Mao. Sibab always says, big duck. Blonde says, war. War never changes. Select character screen. Press square to continue. Select character screen. Press square to select Ranger King. Loading. Please wait. Loading. Please wait. For text chat with other players, press the left button to open chat. Type message then press square to send chat. For proximity voice chat with other players, press and hold the left button while speaking. Courteous says, a data equals 0, Serenity /A. Ren Kane says, howdy. Igap says, a data equals 0, Tumblr fee traps /A. Beboop says, Invan 2. Takatki says, full thanks. Doc MC Chubbs says, PvP Syndicate Compay. XX DieselX says, Hive looking for FSDPS link gear in PM1ST boss. The Garrick says, a data equals 0, wiry web /A. Just a Puppet says, a data equals 0, the mechanic /a data equals 1, Power Stone /a data equals 2, Cowl of Power /a data equals 3, Bloodrinker /a data equals 4, Void Dark Plate /a data equals 5, The Abyss /a data equals 6, Life Taker /A. Igap says, a data equals 0, Jin Headrap /A. Von Hellsmith says, is the new Grace Greysword any good? The Garrick says, a data equals 0, Infused Beast Ward Potion /A. Was Up Spencer says, LFG ol Hive, no tech, willing to VC, PM me gear THX. Jim Bounty says, needing help to kill Torug please. Ratazit says, a data equals 0, Blacksmith Arm, Guitar Sheet Music February 3rd /A. The Garrick says, a data equals 0, Greenwood /A. Just a Puppet says, that's just what I'm carrying. Eddie the Cat says, DW. Axe Superior says, XDPS Hive. Von Hellsmith says, I have Serenity but don't like the heavy spam perks for it. Courteous says, a data equals 0, Jin Headrap /A. Beboop says, anyone doing Winter Forge? Shavaska Laptop says, RS 10%. Axe Superior says, X-Hive DPS 703 GS. Tempest Main says, X-Hive. Courteous says, why's the game say I have 11 stacks of resfreshing? Igap says, a data equals 0, Mithril Rapier of the Sage /A. Lord Bodacious says, I just logged back in after a long time. I'm 60 but my GS and levels are crapo. Any advice on how to get going on the new quest lanes? Amizel says, lol I have, meta, players. Amizel says, hate. Banana BR3D says, X-Hive. 420ish says, a data equals, 0, Grey Wizard's hat, /A. Von Hell's Myth says, how do I add a perk to an artifact? IGUP says, a data equals, 0, reinforced dark leather helm of the sentry, /a data equals, 1, reinforced spinweave chest of the sentry, /a data equals, 2, tempered spinweave gloves of the sentry, /a data equals, 3, tempered spinweave legs of the sentry, /a data equals, 4, tumbler feet traps, /a. Courteous says, a data equals, 0, attuned leather pants, /a. IGUP says, a data equals, 0, burnished mithril crafted amulet of the ranger, /a data equals, 1, burnished mithril crafted ring of the ranger, /a data equals, 2, burnished mithril crafted earring of the ranger, /a. MC Shafty says, GL. Jim Bounty says, anyone able to help kill Torug for my last quest for Inferno please? Von Hell's Myth says, do I just use it at Kiln? Ace D. Piertagus says, how do you get Grey Wizard's hat? Courteous says, NGL I never got the VG Sages. Courteous says, a data equals, 0, finisher, /a. Von Hell's Myth says, wizard hat comes from portal caches. Von Hell's Myth says, same with Abyss. Imaloy says, Grey hat and the Abyss can be get from Major Corputed Merc is the most popular corrupted portal raid. Ace D. Piertagus says, is Serenity from the PvP tracker? Glitch Matrix says, yeah. Armada says, yay. Ace D. Piertagus says, Jesus. Von Hell's Myth says, yay it shows up at 20 plus tracks. Armada says, have fun. Ace D. Piertagus says, after level 20 right. Von Hell's Myth says, gotta spam PvP to get the perks too for it. Ace D. Piertagus says, might as well bleep myself. Imaloy says, if you want Grey hat and the Abyss join Merc. Shavaska Laptop says, nice. Armada says, got mine at track 24. Courteous says, a data equals, 0, featherweight, /Abyss. Was up Spencer says, LFG Hive, no tech, willing to join VC, PM me or gear. Shavaska Laptop says, okay. Andonius says, I have 105 tracks completed. Glitch Matrix says, how to upgrade to 725. Viriana Origin says, Hive plus 1 DPS. Courteous says, besides the missing health. Moon Buggy says, X-Hive DPS. Grey Mitzi says, lol. Vidar the Silent says, there any other ways to get the golden coconuts? Or just try to avoid greedy people just trying to get an extra 5 doubloons? Player 1 Hunter says, Oper. Wade Wilson says, anyone got time to help with Gran the Bear? Mansur Tempe says, a data equals, 0, Major Ancients Combat Trophy, /x1 a data equals, 1, Major Corrupted Combat Trophy, /x2 WTS. Whiskey Glass says, I'll help you. Whiskey Glass says, send me an invite. I in your face 2 day says, hey. Recall to in. Would you like to recall to this in? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Loading. Please wait. Von Hellsmith says, okay, what perk should I put on Serenity? Von Hellsmith says, Mortal Lifestyle. Sheely MX33 says, LF Tank Lazarus. Armada says, I put a gem slot on M, in. Connor says. Nivea says, X-FS DPS-full A trophies-GS 700. Igap says, mods really sticks to the roof of my mouth. Connor says, gem setting pins, craft mod from vendor. Was up Spencer says, LFG Hive, no tech, willing to join VC, PM me or gear. Von Hellsmith says, okay, say I was to gem slot it, what gem would be best? Armada says, Opal. Von Hellsmith says, Link. Connor says, depends on you and what you're doing tbh. Raskolic says, has anyone tried finding these Cutlass Keys treasure map locations, like how ESO has them? Or is just a dumb page? Armada says, and spam heavies. Sheely MX33 says, LF1 Lazarus. Von Hellsmith says, what's Opal do? Tiny Tim Treat says. Raskolic says, haven't seen anyone mention these. Connor says, stam not full. Armada says, 15% damage while stam isn't full. Druid says, hurrah. Wade Wilson says, Tiv. Armada says, or 12 I think. Connor says, but it's not 15 anymore lol. Valenia says, it's for Gangnam Style. Mr. Waffler says, did this game take a few steps backwards? Sheely MX33 says, LF1 Lazarus, Reg. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Armada says, it's 12% cause the run glass dumps it to 9%. Kratos 141 says, Xlaz. Ace Pringle says, can you join multiple convenants? I'm yellow but for some odd reason the green guys are giving me quests. Loading. Please wait. Burp Turkey says, yeah. Rate as it says, multiple? No, but you can switch factions. Raskolic says, the initiation quest can be done for all factions. Mr. Waffler says, the UI looks dated now. Rokuchi says, I can't see my feet. Yamnesty says, XDPS Hive RPFS. Good Guy Jean says, can someone tell me what's new? Cracker 102 says, you gotta pay for feet. Quarter BR33D says, GGZ. Veruk Joseph says, Amy trains. Ace Pringle says, okay, I must have found the faction switching quest by mistake. Veruk Joseph says, any. Kratos 141 says, just the one on ya mom. Blue Tree says, that was cold asf. Snakebite says, so only way to get mount is to buy the expansion pack. Veruk Joseph says, ha 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 ha. Armada says, yay. Blue Tree says, felt powerful as after that low key. Sterex says, Sigma AF. Mr. Waffler says, yo, WTH did they do to this game? Snopdoob says, a data equals, 0, sliver of consecrated iron, / a WTS. Connor says, only way to get the other half of the game is to buy the expansion. I says, looking for a group fought Hive and new. Connor says, which includes mounts. Varrock Joseph says, so none cause Shaz dead. Alaferis says, I'm a level 37 tank, anyone wanna do Amrine excavation, I'm new to the game. Sir Questalo says, Littlefoot where art thou? Goose01 says, El Sharky C Law come, El Sharky C Law come. Blue Tree says, it got cold RQ. Bruh. Varrock Joseph says, so anyway any trains? Chef Vic says, INVME. Blue Tree says, at to do trib. Block Party says, do you have to level crafting up just like SO? I says, yup. Blue Tree says, X up for a lil trib fun. I says, just craft thought. Was up Spencer says, LFG Hive, no tech, willing to join VC, PM me or gear. Rev2 says, what's trib? Blue Tree says, Elysian Wilds chest area. Alexandria says, X Hive range DPS. Yamnesty says, X Hive DPS. Rev2 says, X Trib. Von Hellsmith says, where do I make the gem setting pins at? I says, new Hive DPS LFG. JCE Aunir says, X Trib. Whiskey Glass says, I'll go trip if you got a group. Vader 191 says, X Trib. Yutha says, where do you discover the new raid and cutlass keys? Tanis 67 says, a data equals 0, vial of suspended azeth, / any way to quick open these now? This is ridiculous. Aloy says, just click it. White Box WB says, X Trib. Lupco says, LF 3 meter las GF. Tanis 67 says, it opens one at a time. 495 azeth to craft one piece of gear. 0.kratos.0 says, nah we're weeing. Blue Tree says, anyone else for trib chest run? Koshba TS says, X Trib. Alaferis says, LF1 more for Amrine excavation expedition LF1 DPS. Von Hellsmith says, anyone know what station gem setting pins are at? Was up Spencer says, LFG Hive, no tech, willing to join VC, PM me. Eliazra says, faction vendor. The Struggle Bus says, X-Trib. Von Hellsmith says, oh I thought you make M. Indie Das Gamer says, LFG for Hive. Glowing Battleborn says, we all need to push 1 point. Pan3R4 says, 2 DPS Avarice Sin Quest. Whippa says, can you hide what shows in the compass in this update? Norami says, X Avarice. Trusted Abyss says, I smell. Sions ol plebs. Big Zero Ned 3 says, X. Maedamont says, where should I use my house discount? What area / house? Von Hellsmith says, okay next thing I need is a weapon matrix, where do I make those at? Aketsali says, any WT in the island? Alberto Destreza says, Alberto Destreza sits. High Knight says, LF Isle of Zur Group. Lupco says, LF 3 meter las GF. Noble Duelist says, LF1 low con DPS with Discord. Dark Day says, X Mu Hive. I Dylan I says, LFG Hive. The Wendig says, X Avarice. Beboop says, INVIVE. Amilith Jaluine says, all good to me. Noble Duelist says, LF1 low con DPS with Discord on second boss. Beboop says, Hive, im tank. Pan3R4 says, 1 DPS Avarice Sin Quest. Lady Muffins says, SNS hit like wet noodle. The Wendig says, X Avarice. M4 Kanai says, X healer hyphen din shipyard hyphen M1 hyphen come get the butcher artifact hyphen join lobby. Starex says, im hitting pretty good DMG for SNS. M4 Kanai says, can a healer help with Dynasty Shipyard M1? Lupko says, LF3 meter las GF. Yimnesty says, X Hive DPS. Grey Mitzi says, GGMB, D. Lady Muffins says, you're 65. Isle says, atrocity on top. Not Zombie says, GGMB. Arch T Velcana says, GGSMB. Not Zombie says, 25 feel like 250. Arden Stark says, GGS guys. Diabolical says, what happy to Scrandy skied on top. Luna Light says, X Healdston. Indie Das Gamer says, LFG tank. Randolph says, GGMB, close one. Kata Buster says, how do I exit a fight? Not Zombie says, Xbox power off. Dream 10SJ says, X Hive DPS. Onimbus says, sell Xbox, get PC. Lupko says, LF3 meter las GF. Madsa Queen says, run. Kata Buster says, I'm on Steam, don't know why it's not displaying it. Banana BR3D says, X Hive DPS. Onimbus says, it is. Grey Mitzi says, cool to see some new and returning people doing da PvP stuffs. Mean Trader says, X. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Onimbus says, game was dying until they added it to console. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Alien Knight says, Alien Knight leave La House. Onalome says, hi everyone, returning on PC, what's the difference besides everything looking bigger? Grey Mitzi says, don't forget everyone to get plenty of rest for your workouts tomorrow, D. Minouth says, need a healer hive. Loading. Please wait. Dissident says, hi. Ferali says, true it had 4K people. Was up Spencer says, LFG Hive, no tag, willing to join VC, PM me. Arnsteninga says, hey can anyone explain to me how gypsum orbs changed in Angry Earth because I can't make casts for what I want anymore. Garliquarier says, hi everyone, returning on PC, what's the difference besides everything looking bigger? Zosimo says, geez you invite aim. Onimbus says, you can swim now. I'm Aloy says, swimming but.
Returned. And and
Big
hard.
Zero Net 3 says, casts are gone, you don't need gear score increases.
Are impressive. There is a
Ricandithus says, more to do, free for all area.
Francois is a
Sterex says, really hate the fact that you can't super zoom out anymore.
He is talented.
Onalome says, so if you have a gear next to your name, does that mean you're a PC player? Morse Tangier says, you can reset your UI in settings so everything isn't huge. Lowe's Paranoiao says, it's bigger, who cares about the rest? Arnsteninga says, so gypsum is useless now? Idgunan says, 4,500. Vertisikia says, the gear is Steam's logo, so PC. Synax says, X-Hive DPS. Geyserig says, no, gypsum is used in all the upgrade recipes. Onalome says, where the console peeps at. Matsaqueen says, gypsum is used to make T5 items to upgrade your gear. Onimbus says, no more arrows and bullets. Block Party says, anyone free to heal me. I played a lot of SO, just need some guidance. Select character screen. Press square to continue. Select character screen. Press square to select Ranger King. Loading. Please wait. Loading. Please wait. For text chat with other players, press the left button to open chat. Type message, then press square to send chat. For proximity voice chat with other players, press and hold the left button while speaking. Block Party says, thank. Matt's Queen says, exactly. All are welcome. I'm Aloy says, I'm feeling like old people in this game. Fate Maddox says, not today friend but thanks. DJ93 says, Zlyfering. Raucus says, a data equals 0, Serenity, / if I want to pair this with the fire staff, should I attach a gem pin to it to put an elemental gem? Amazel says, Noble, I help a ton folks, nice try, stop advertising your stream and grow naturally, not spamming a general chat. I'm Aloy says, yes, elemental gem. Rascolic says, don't worry about PC bashing console, after the next update -- we will all be gamers versus Amazon. White Horse Rider says, LF2 healers and 4 DPS hive. Rokuchi says, I need help. Squibblington says, can I toggle chat censoring or is it forced? I'm Aloy says, Fire Elemental is run glass ignited. Was up Spencer says, LFG hive, no tech, willing to join VC, PM me. Eddie the Cat says, how to upgrade weapons from Bleep. Bangdini says, Bangdini bangs his head up and down. Child of Jill says, looking for some top tier armor for a LVL 40 and weapon. Strength build. Buller says, bro, the FA zone is so bleep garbage. I says, can anyone help me with this mission? Eddie the cat says, how to upgrade weapons past 620. Angry Pollock says, get that bore. Oberon Cardle says, my stream is watching a streamer, that's watching a streamer, that's watching another streamer, it's 4 streamers deep and called Reaction X4. It's the new normal. All content is just watching others. Yamnesty says, X-Hive DPS. Pocket Jacks says, run depths, or sort by GS on A. Buller says, every time I go in there is a group of 3+ players. SFT says, X-Hive DPS. Icewords says, Yolanda dow 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 da. I'm Aloy says, at Rokuchi what's wrong. High Knight says, LF I'll observe group. Raskolic says, FFA zone is bleep if you ain't ranged, got more doubloons in the rest of Cutlass. Buller says, whomever deceived the name tags being on and Sahid is a bleep idiot. Shag Shigatano says, a data equals 0, defiled void gauntlet of the sage, / a WTS. Jeremiah says, X-Hive tank / DPS. Icewords says, Algun Espanol. Free Throw Tito says, X-Life Ring. Onalome says, welcome console peeps, glad to have you. Buller says, FFA is just so dumb, everyone bleep teams. King Maldi says, boo. Y3 Urdua says, X-Hive heal / DPS. Nami Tenchi says, y'all are grumpy. Raskolic says, yep and I roll solo dolo. Buller says, classic Amazon adding another bleep feature to an already bleep game. Glitch Matrix says, can you craft 725 gear? Buller says, but hey, console players, am I right? Oh Mao. Amazel says, I understand streamers, but it is trashy to advertise your stream on a general chat. Why not grow naturally instead of spamming chat with your stream? That is not how to grow at all. I'm Aloy says, you can't. Bushro says, XDPS hives. LLLII says, how do you crawl? Shag Shigatano says, any tour going on? Bard Medicine says, what does the unplugged icon mean? Morse Tangier says, number 725 comes from Hive Raid and Cutlass PvP. Papa Doja says, no. Relic TV says, L1 plus L3. Buller says, since everyone else wants to team in the FA zone, who wants to come team with me? I'll pocket heal you. I love gold coin says, a data equals 0, crack, /a. Onalome says, you get on your knees and elbows and try to move forward. I says, new LFG hive. Eddie the cat says, how to upgrade weapons past 620. Sarah New Nails says, haven't played this game in a year. In level 60 looking to help any low level player just to get back into things. Kingsalabigel0 says, how do you earn Terrori's XP? Does cutting down trees help or only missions and fraction missions? Matsaqueen says, prone is usually Z, and you move forward. I'm Aloy says, unplug icon it's mean your bandwidth is unstable. Jaison says, Jaison sits. Jaison says, Jaison gives the thumbs up. Jaison says, let's jam together. Buller says, shoot me a message. Bushro says, XDPS hives. Onalome says, did they buff healing? Lyodon Rose 1 says, X DPS hives. Gabe B says, Buffdermum. Rock Tack says, X Spear / Hatchet Rend DPS. Deadshot 22 says, is there any way I can send things from this server to my other char on a fresh server? Bradius says, yo. Goomby says, I beefed her mom. Faye Littlefoot says, hyphen. Calix Ignis says, X DPS hive. Onalome says, lol. Onalome says, missed you all three. XX Dead Isaac says, so many freaking bleep on here. I'm Aloy says, no they're nerf healer. Oberon Cardle says, 2URN up the BEF. Viltramite says, what happens if we're at gold max and something gets sold on TP? Ray Mitzi says, any new hot console Eggerl Wi-Fi's? Billy Hoax says, that's wild. Corlin says, this dude. Buller says, since PPL are doing nothing but teaming in the FA zone, looking for some DPS to team with, I heal, shoot me a message. Itsumi Luigi says, me. Onalome says, any Xbox 360 players? X-Vikings says, lol. Viltramite says, do you lose the gold if at max gold for TP orders? Yuri 420 says, lol. X-Vikings says, I'll hear G-Talk. LLLII says, how do you carul? White Horse Rider says, LF for Heaver Hive. Pet My Bison says, should I focus on side quests too if I wanna level up more or just follow main story? I'm Aloy says, at Negro side are you a guy? Bagadorn says, main story. Rose 1 says, X Hive. Garliquarier says, no such thing as a chill Xbox player. I'm Aloy says, no gay bud. Glitch Matrix says, can you craft 725 gear? Negro Cider says. Onalome says, I'm gay. Iam Araman says, X DPS hive. Negro Cider says, HMU Ona. Onalome says, I'm a bottom. I'm Aloy says, no gay in here. SFT says, X DPS hive. Yuri 420 says, on Xbox to zoom in and out is LB and D-pad up and down. Ian Oraman says, X DPS hive. Log Jonesi says, new user question, should I dismantle items at low level? 50 Cheez-It says, a data equals 0, Thorpe's helmet, /A. Nami Tenchi says, yo whatever you're not using. Log Jonesi says, tie. Onalome says, on console, you move away and near your screen to zoom. I'm Aloy says, and. Shag Shigatano says, anyone doing tours, dungeons, raid, etc. need or have space for healer? The Syndicate faction has thrown Restless Shore into a conflict state. They can now declare war. Connor says, salvaging in NW is similar to selling junk to an NPC. DJ93 says, X up for life ring. White Horse Rider says, LF healer hive. I'm Aloy says, any low level can buy faction armorer. Veruk Joseph says, is it just in FOV slider for console? Gorbadon says, K. Mama Cheeks says, no zooms in and out like any mo. Mint Boy says, anyone need heals for hive? FE Vanilla Bean says, X Hive healer. Dylan says, how do I zoom out lol? Kaideo says, mouse wheel. Von Hellsmith says, well I gambled my coconut and I think I got a decent item. A data equals 0, Apex Gold Cursed Ring, /A. Yuri 420 says, there is zoom out. Dylan says, I'm on PS5. Aloy says, has PS5 user. Aloy says, lol. Testudo Velix says, 1. Von Hellsmith says, sorta lame, it has a PvP perk. Dylan says, Mao. Mama Cheeks says, RB/L1 DP8 up or down. Javier Chadimus says, a data equals 0, Apex Gold Cursed Legards of the Scholar, / don't waste coconuts, you get 725s from the cheap epic crates too. Tommy Rousseau says, lol yeah the PvP luck gear is bis. Coretree says, has on PS5. M4 Kanai says, XDPS-din shipyard-m1- come get the butcher artifact-join lobby. Cliff Chun Jax says, still gotta be a way to Zumu. Darla Querier says, damn that Xbox player took 3-4 business days to respond. Shan Riven says, LF Tank I've last boss. Shan Riven says, LF Tank I've last boss. Von Hellsmith says, wait so the PvP perks are random. Moxus Spelldance says, Empower Cleave is on ring. That's interesting. Dylan says, got it thank you. Von Hellsmith says, damn guess this ring's trash to me then. Mama Cheeks says, I'm not using my headset up my MNKRN so yay lol. M4 Kanai says, XDPS-din shipyard-m1- come get the butcher artifact-join lobby. Apocalypse says, LF2 DPS-2 boss. Haskella says, X-Gorgon. M4 Kanai says, does luck trophies help you get artifact? Warrior Mad says, Warrior Mad has reached font color equals, at 63E, level 24/font. Warrior Mad says, Warrior Mad has reached font color equals, at 63E, level 24/font. Von Hellsmith says, might save it for PvP but ya good luck cleaving in PvP. Haskella says, X-Hive sorry. M4 Kanai says, thanks. Pants says, X-Hive tank. M4 Kanai says, XDPS-din shipyard-m1- come get the butcher artifact-join lobby. Quackzilla says, can anyone educate me on how I upgrade artifact to 725? Sinox says, we need anti-aliasing. Von Hellsmith says, I think you can do it Kiln eventually. M4 Kanai says, need 2 DPS for Dynastry M1. Anyone can help? Von Hellsmith says, can't do the recipe yet though. Javier Chadimus says, 725 artifact upgrades are disabled RN for bugs but you would use the coconut. SFT says, X-Hive ranged DPS. Quackzilla says, oh sweet. Von Hellsmith says, so what do guys think? Trash? A data equals 0, Apex Gold Cursed Ring, /A. WLLD Mongrel says, can you adjust the crosshair placement? Quackzilla says, how about upgrading other 700 GS items? Can we do that? Grand Knight Spike says, Grand Knight Spike has reached font color equals, at 63E, level 21/font. Grand Knight Spike says, Grand Knight Spike has reached font color equals, at 63E, level 21/font. M4 Kanai says, XDPS-din shipyard-m1- come get the butcher artifact-join lobby. Make it rain 2 says, yes but it's turned off due to bug RN. Lucca says, oh. Lucca says, sorry. Haskala says, X-Hive healer. DJ93 says, X-Lifering February 20th. Quackzilla says, oh thank you. Shag Shigatano says, X-Life. Azuralicious says, question, can I upgrade stuff I currently am using or no? Von Hellsmith says, well bleep it I salvaged that crap. Von Hellsmith says, one nice perk and 2 bleep ones. Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. M4 Kanai says, XDPS-din shipyard-m1- come get the butcher artifact-join lobby. DJ93 says, X-Lifering April 20th. M4 Kanai says, need 2 DPS for Dynastry M1. Anyone can help? Von Hellsmith says, can we get more than 1 coconut per week? Texas 420 says, HJ, B.0000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000wwwwwwwwwwwwwwwwwwwwwww now. Zigreeks says. Texas 420 says CVDXFD6. Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Texas 420 says CDF. Von Hellsmith says, yeah, I feel bad for anyone who's gonna be grinding that for gear then. XX Dead Isaac says, they ruined this game with the freaking free PvP. Kemzik says, how to stow / holster a weapon? Make It Rain 2 says. ZRX Abyss says, company looking for players DM. XX Dead Isaac says, free for all PvP zone. Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. King Aegis says, healer available for trails / raids. Rate as it says, don't go there. Mr. Windex says, Exton Shipyard M1. It's Aqua says, a data equals 0, smelter's pants / a data equals 1, woodworker shoes / a WTS PMO. Rate as it says, it's not required to go to the PvP zone lol. XX Dead Isaac says, kinda hard when you got quest there. Iliho Aches says, are there issues adding console PPL as friends ATM? Whiskey Glass says, I would like to join. Rate as it says, fun fact, not doing a quest won't delete your character. Holy on 3 says, Exton Shipyard M2 lobby open. Lombax says, X-Hive DPS. XX Dead Isaac says, to kill 50 lost you have to go there. SFT says, X-Hive DPS. Negro Cider says, ISO. Zigreeks says, how to type a chat box. Marcus K says, X DPS Hive. Migraine says, X Hive Tank. King Aegis says, 698 healer LF raid / trails. XX Dead Isaac says, for an artifact quest for you fun fact. M4 Kanai says, XDPS-din shipyard-n1- come get the butcher artifact-join lobby. Airpo says, X-Hive ranged DPS. Leave Dead Alone says, heals LF Hive. XX Dead Isaac says, people ever think not everyone wants to do the stupid PvP BS. Skakly says, X-Hive DPS. Zigreeks says, back to the grind. Von Hellsmith says, these shoes good BTW a data equals 0, Tumblr fee traps, /a. King Aegis says, X-Hive heals. M4 Kanai says, XDPS-din shipyard-n1- come get the butcher artifact-join lobby. Galilea says, thank you, I'll be here all week. Cancel trade. Are you sure you want to cancel your trade with Warrior Matt? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Dylan says, how are y'all so strong? Macro MH says, yay. Hollow.Point 2141 says, just put armoring buff up in Eden. Does anyone own a RW house that crafts, and if so what buff do you want up? Tommy Rousseau says, LFM Hive 700 plus Discord required, no nonsense, know the mechanics. Not a group to learn with. Rody Simus says, X-Race in Everfall. Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Von Hellsmith says, but not sure what gems are good for armor. Matsaqueen says, those pants are awesome. Max Fomtex says, LFG Hive. Von Hellsmith says, any recommendations? Bushro says, XDPS Hive. Wishitwasiso says, are there div main quest leans? My friend and I have div quests and we just started. Tommy Rousseau says, LFM Hive group 700 plus Discord rec. No mechanics or get kicked PST. Wishitwasiso says, what does that mean, Queen? Ferali says, I live in EU but I made a new character here in US cause I play during the night. Max Fomtex says, LFG Hive. Von Hellsmith says, well I'm in melee range a lot if that helps narrow it down. Tommy Rousseau says, need all Hive. Discord required /700 plus GS rec. Ferali says, pasta country. Von Hellsmith says, is there a good gem for everything? Sir Sideswipe says, anyone experience Steam running the game but not actually getting past anti-cheat? Wishitwasiso says, Ninja can you explain? Von Hellsmith says, like an overall one. Pillowcase says, any way to improve framerate in towns? Ferali says, oh great, where? Matsaqueen says, or go with good old utility gems like diamond. Rokuchi says, invite. Ferali says, nice. Von Hellsmith says, okay I'll check diamond. Sir Sideswipe says, friend is on a gaming laptop. All Stereo says, dead game. Protoletum says, X-Hive healer /DPS. All Stereo says, sup to all the noobs. Sechi says, X-Hive healer. Holy on 3 says, Exton Shipyard M2 lobby open. Bushro says, X Hive DPS. MC Dooley says, Proly need to update easy antic files. Google. An influence race has started in Everfall. Kemzik says, if I buy the bear mount with skin, will I get the DFO skin as well? Promua says, is there a fix yet to Razisui? Pillowcase says, my FPS drops from like 170 to around 55 in certain cities. Joshua 2252 says, join lobby if not gay. Megalodon 554 says, I beat the main quest lady but I do not think I grade the staff. What do I do? Was up Spencer says, LFG Hive, no tech, willing to join VC, PM me. MC Dooley says, I just play on the force now. No problems. Aquawolf says, what can I do with extra asset while I'm still leveling? Von Hellsmith says, would Onyx or Opal be a good option or am I better off going with Diamond for armor? Max Fomtex says, LFG Hive DPS. Step off 187 says, a data equals 0, fire staff of the scholar, / a WTS. Matsaqueen says, you have to go to settings and turn off auto lock targeting. I'm Aloy says, Malachite and Diamond is good. DJ93 says, X Life Ring May 20th. Indie Das Gamer says, LFG Hive. Von Hellsmith says, okay I'll probably go for Diamond then cause I get hit by melee a lot more. Mrs. Goose says, H. I'm Aloy says, for sure mostly PvP are thrust damage now. Holy on 3 says, Exton Shipyard M2 lobby open. Von Hellsmith says, if I do medload can I use any heavy pieces? Von Hellsmith says, like a chest or nap? Hi Dylan I says, thank you for invite. Torvika says, I am back, and have no clue what I am doing anymore. MC Dooley says, same. M0 Sense says, X-Worm. Obadiah Carter says, same. I'm Aloy says, if you want medium just use chest heavy. Max Fomtex says, LFG Hive. High Knight says, LF Isle of Zur Group. Tommy Rousseau says, LFM Hive 700 plus GS Rex / Discord. Sig Ripper says, LF Healer plus tank for Glacial Tarn in GF. Cancel trade. Are you sure you want to cancel your trade with Warrior Matt? Press circle for no, press square for yes. I'm Aloy says, yes void plates are good. J Rebel OC says, hey Hut. I'm Aloy says, and still number 1. DJ93 says, X Life Ring May 20th. Sterex says, yo is life stelling outgoing healing or incoming healing? Von Hellsmith says, incoming. Kemzik says, if I buy the cosmetic bear, will I get the default as well? Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Yung Lean says, fart out my butt dude. Matsaqueen says, I don't think so about the bear. Kemzik says, tie. Shitstains says, imtorped. Pillowcase says, transmog. Trans token? This game is so woke. I'm Aloy says, void bladed thing mutated and Pops says, anyone doing bowcaster run? Mrs. Goose says, 5/. I'm Aloy says, if you want void plate run mutated anyone. Protoletum says, DPS/heal LFG hive. I'm Aloy says, it's drop the wall too. Sir Questalo says, trying to remember, is there a NPC vendor or just trading post? Matsa Queen says, no vendors. I says, tie. Armada says, just trading post. Ferali says, yeah, and no vendor, salvage. Matsa Queen says, but you can salvage so much stuff. XX Dead Isaac says, bleep. Lockthrall says, DPS LFG hive. Bushro says, X DPS hive. Von Hellsmith says, tie for the info Aloy, hopefully I get it from wall, already got 2 other artifacts from there. Matsa Queen says, salvage parts will be good later for helping level up trades. Was Up Spencer says, LFG hive, no tech, willing to join VC, PM me. Wish it was CISO says, as it staff. XX DieselX says, hive LF melee DPS link gear in PM. Stinky Ebut says, is there a list of companies that are recruiting in my faction? Alexandrovich says, man, there are way too many people playing this game. How long before some of them leave /? Sir Questalo says, so with no NPC vendor, what do y'all do with old gear that doesn't sell on trading post? Grey Mitzi says, in the PvP zone can you not heal anyone else lol? Matsa Queen says, ha. Lol. Von Hellsmith says, try asking in faction chat Stinky. Stinky Ebut says, no Grey. Grey Mitzi says, tight. Stinky Ebut says, it's dead in my faction. Von Hellsmith says, usually at least a few recruiting in there. Matsa Queen says, you can kill your buddy, though, hyphen. Colonel Spanky says, WTS a data equals 0, Rapier of the Ranger, / a data equals 1, Blunderbuss of the Scholar, / a data equals 2, Defiled Longsword of the Soldier, / a data equals 3, Great Axe of the Soldier, / a. Marcus K says, X DPS hive. Stinky Ebut says, Syndicatic. Wanton says, is there a quest for getting an instrument or should I just buy one on the market? Pinecknot says, quest. Sargrave Duncan says, can you unsocket stones from it? Matsa Queen says, there is a quest. Titus Decimus says, do people organize chest runs in Cutlass yet? Von Hellsmith says, yes Titus. Matsa Queen says, it's legendary. Acid Smile says, yes. Von Hellsmith says, I do those chests in my world tours. Von Hellsmith says, usually at the end. Wish it was CISO says, where do I go to start the new main quest? RJ Crusher says, X Hive DPS a data equals 0, Primeval Archaic Head of the Barbarian, / a data equals 1, Soul Shroud Corset, / a data equals 2, Primeval Profane Gloves of the Ranger, / a data equals 3, Attuned Leather Pants, / a data equals 4, Sporelight Shoes, / a data equals 5, Venom, / a data equals 6, Cunning Heart Rune of Grasping Vines, / a data equals 7, Life Ring Amulet, / a data equals 8, Keratin Ring, / a data equals 9, Brash Invasion Bow of the Ranger, / a. Imaloy says, a data equals 0, exemplary ring of the scholar, / a WTS. Von Hellsmith says, check your map for main quests. Titus Decimus says, X Hive heals. Matsaqueen says, Cutlass keys. Khan says, GS700LF large PvP company. Von Hellsmith says, should be one somewhere. Matsaqueen says, town. Nami Tenshi says, can anyone recommend a leveling guide for armoring? Nami Tenshi says, newer player BTW. Marcus K says, XDPS Hive. Imaloy says, craft each armorer Drom expedition. Imaloy says, for some exp. Von Hellsmith says, there's guides online Nami that tell you what to craft for each LVL. The Red Witch says, NW. Probably N8 says, X Hive DPS 699 GS. Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Squibblington says, transmog services unavailable. Imaloy says, yeah, just search gaming tools for New World Trade Skill Guide. Morse Tangier says, make one of everything to get the double points per item, cloth easier to farm for. Nami Tenshi says, tie. Rokuchi says, need a tip. Ferali says, new quest is in Elysian Wilds, NPC is called Morgaine. Matsaqueen says, it will show you all the mats you can use to make the item. Marcus K says, X Hive DPS, KWTD up to second boss. Imaloy says, anyone want to give me infused armorer scraps for free? XX Dead Isaacs says, dude stop him not here for PvP. Damn. Titus Decimus says, X Hive heals. Matsaqueen says, I forgot all about that when doing engineering. I had all my extra, not used for refining, stuff in another bank, so all that showed up was my prismatic stuff. Sigh. Imaloy says, I lines be help for thats. XJLBX says, I can't get tea. Was up Spencer says, LFG Hive, no tech, willing to join VC, PM me. DJ93 says, X Life Ring June 20th. High Knight says, LF Isle of Zur Group. The Red Witch says, no. Jurak says, Inv. Sig Ripper says, LF1 for Glacial Tarn in Group Finder. Revikin says, it's been a while but yeah. Mex Fomtex says, LFG Hive. Imaloy says, I need infused scrap please, I'm begging lol. Wish it was CISO says, where do I go to start the main quest for the new MSQ? King Aegis says, XDPS M1 Forge. Matsaqueen says, there are quests in Cutlass Keys. Bushro says, XDPS Hive 700 GS. Andonius says, gotta do Brimstone Sands MSQ. Andonius says, at least I did. Wish it was CISO says, no 4 base game. Matsaqueen says, you can buy infused parts on the TP. Abed Ashton says, put it on a cracker dude, that's money. Wish it was CISO says, how do we start the same MSQ? Rippy J says, you have to let Diddy touch you. Pineknot says, why are you yelling? Sig Ripper says, LF1 for GT in Group Finder. Wish it was CISO says, someone answer me. I'm Aloy says, if you lucky you will meet him make new Charcater again. Matsa Queen says, one of you need to run to the other one lol. Armada says, which MSQ? Pineknot says, JFC. Pineknot says, common sense PLS. Armada says, for Brimstone or Elysian. I'm Aloy says, nah they will meet at Everfall main quest. Matsa Queen says, just stay on the roads lol. King Aegis says, LF1 DPSM1 Forge. Matsa Queen says, they converge eventually. I'm Aloy says, you will meet your buddy at Earfall MQ. I'm Aloy says, don't worry. Wish it was CISO says, I'm worrying. Pineknot says, you seem worried. Squibblington says, don't, and do it quieter 3. Wish it was CISO says, I'm worried. Luna Light says, it's okay you'll find each other. DJ93 says, X Life Ring June 20th. XX Dead Isaac says, I'm freaking AM bleep in Citadel just need to kill 35 more lost and I'm out. RL44 says, hey man if you can't make decisions for yourself maybe you should play an RPG, lol. Noble Duelist says, LF1 low con DPS third boss hive. Revikin says, sweet. I'm Aloy says, don't worry but it's your name's anime movie type you will meet him at Everfall. SFT says, X hive DPS. Pineknot says, slowly. Small Stinky Bus says, LF Amreen 1. Armada says, if you can't find it then tough bleep get better. Pineknot says, foul. Noble Duelist says, LF1 low con DPS and Discord third boss hive. Bagadorn says, X Amreen. Buried Mythos says, let me tell you about the trees and the bees. Grey Mitzi says, pineapples kinda cringe. Tarfu says, see. Tarfu says, lol. Star Blazet says, whoa is that a stick? Datron says, pineapples is bleep. Cracker 102 says, that's why I eat ass. Luna Light says, inner bleep. Ouch. Naomi Fox says, bleep muskets bleep bleep. I'm Aloy says, pineapple on pizza. Tarfu says, you used to be able to do that. Noble Duelist says, LF1 low con DPS and Discord third boss hive. Armada says, if you can't find your friend then maybe Diddy can find him. Rody Simus says, X-Race. Trife says, we are the same LVL coward. Bushro says, X-Hive DPS 700 GS. Wizard says, any WT running cutlass? Jax00 says, I wonder if they still got some of that baby oil left over. Armada says, nah Diddy bought the entire supply. Riser says, yeah I just don't give a bleep about dueling you lol go cry in a corner. I says, what did you do to be that strong? Thresher C says, call me lucky and Henny join. Grey Mitzi says, I been Apple can't fight 1v1 lol what a sad boy. I says, you like can't die here. Titus Decimus says, bleep it, gonna run a cutlass WT. Curtius says, a data equals 0, gypsum orb, slash of these worthless now. Titus Decimus says, X up 4 cutlass chests. Armada says, nah, still need them to upgrade bleep at the kiln. Rev2 says, X Cutlass WT. Marcus K says, X Cutlass. Wizard says, X Cutlass. The Struggle Bus says, X Cutlass. Prahoak says, X Cutlass. Tommy Rousseau says, need one tank to RDPS hub. PST. Curtius says, okay, I just have lifetime supply basically. Matsequeen says, you need those orbs for upgrading your gear and for making T5 refining resources. Small Stinky Bus says, LF. Amreen. Small Stinky Bus says, Ulfone Amreen. Leave Dead Alone says, X Cutlass WT. Maggie Bloomsday says, X Cutlass. Matsequeen says, it feels like you have lots until you start using them up lol. I says, Savage. Curtius says, I have 150 lol. Melted Butter says, bro has an ego lol. Gumi says, 150 is slackin'. Rokuchi says, help, I need a tip. Curtius says, I just saved them for a long time but sure it'll take the ego. Titus Decimus says, X up 4 Cutlass chests. Javier Chadimus says, damn, the faction missions got a big token buff, nice. Shadow S says, X Cutlass. Melted Butter says, I got it at launch and stopped playing lol. Skackley says, X Cutlass. Rumor says, X. IAM Venom says, X. Lockthrall says, X. Mex Fomtex says, LFM. Grey Mitzi says, I pineapple is such a bleep lol. Melted Butter says, nah, I just played other games. Mex Fomtex says, LFM Savage Divine. Titus Decimus says, X up 4 Cutlass chests, leaving in 2 mins. I says, that's sick. Step off 187 says, X. Gritty Monster says, a data equals 0, Siren Tuning Orb, / a need 2 DPS. I'm Aloy says, pineapple on pizza. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Idled says, need healer for forge. Raw Zero Den says, X Cutlass. I'm Aloy says, X Siren. MZ Hostale says, X Chest Run. Noble Duelist says, LF1 low con DPS and Discord 3rd boss hive. Dora02 says, X Cutlass. MZ Hostale says, X. Rhodesimus says, races are the best content I've experienced in the game when it came out, why is no one doing them now? Mex Fomtex says, LF DPS / tank Savage Divine. Melted Butter says, Saya. White Box WB says, X-Race. Cracker 102 says, wars are all bought now. Cracker 102 says, that's why. Matsequeen says, because all the PvP people are on the island. The Georgian says, X Cutlass. Matsequeen says, or in fresh start. I says, I use bow normally but am leveling my masteress. Braggle Rose says, X Cutlass. Noble Duelist says, LF1 low con DPS and Discord 3rd boss hive. Tommy Rousseau says, LF2 MR DPS hive. 700 plus GS and Discord both required. Max Fomtex says, LF DPS / Tank Savage Divine. Gamble says, LFM1 DPS - Dynasty Ship M1. Kemzik says, how to play music, what a keybind. Revikin says, got it. Matsaqueen says, things will be better in a few weeks. The luster will wear off on fresh start for odd players and the others will get to max level and be doing cross-server stuff. Tawny Kaiden says, X Dynasty. Just Boromir says, 5 francs. Titus Decimus says, Cutlass is a guau. Kemzik says, Tyat just Boromir. I says, I think everyone did lol, I loaded in and there were lots of archers. Quip P says, music equals 5 francs, must have instruments equipped. Quip P says, and learn music. Gijo Strayalg says, from the screenshot to the ring, to the bleep, to the King Kong. Tommy Rousseau says, LF2 RDPS Hive 700 plus GS / Discord required. Max Fomtex says, LF DPS / Tank Savage Divide. Curtius says, they really dropped the ball on the 3v3 and Operkez will the fresh start severs. Drustin Select character screen. Press square to continue. Select character screen. Press square to select Ranger King. Loading. Please wait. Loading. Please wait. For text chat with other players, press the left button to open chat. Type message then press square to send chat. For proximity voice chat with other players, press and hold the left button while speaking. Andonius says, yeah, this game died over a year ago. Armada says, game was fine till y'all showed up. Andonius says, console revived it'll now. Coretree says, this game was resurrected by Xbox and PS5 players. Coretree says, don't deny it. Anthony 1017 says, come duel outside WW. Small Stinky Bus says, Ulfone Amreen. Armada says, y'all should have let the game die. Andonius says, why are you playing it? Curtius says, Curtius says, Xbox saved. Curtius says, Xbox saved my. Curtius says, Xbox saved my life, hands up. Elaria says, no. Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Titus Decimus says, excuse me, I was perfectly happy with 50 people per server and Indonesian gold farmers. Dat Wood says, LF1 Amreen. Vorak says, hi. Titus Decimus says, thank you very much. Andonius says, Mal. Andonius says, that bleep was AIDS. Metso says, X Cutlass WT. Dakota Dazzling says, Xbox cringe. Dumbledore says, Zive. Uptown G says, Hez broke that's why. Armada says, damn they Indonesian I thought they were Venezuelans. Dakota Dazzling says, that's the other side of them bah. Dakota Dazzling says, map. Andonius says, nah the Venice playoffers. Axe Superior says, X Hive DPS 703 GS. Zivuarat says, love UPC PPL y'all are great. MC Dooley says, Indonesian gold farmers are fine, it's the Venezuelans are dog water. Titus Decimus says, Venezuela was RuneScape. The Real Calc says, actually. Armada says, True thought they double-dipped. Buried Mythos says, console players can come kiss me on my hot mouth. Buried Mythos says, I'm feeling romantical. Buck 302 says, how many chests can you have in a house? The Real Calc says, the devs are reviving the game now that they finished the console ports. Vorak says, Amu. Zivuarat says, we finna make out. CRXNV says, I'm on PC but I'll kiss you. Buried Mythos says, yo. Emporo says, Muscat is making me bend over Orange AFC. Spooky Juki says, PC people? What does that even mean? I've got a console tool now. Slamfish says, serious copium. Andonius says, Muscat has aim but now Mao. Cobalt Cultist says, yo free kisses. Okami Thorn says, I need to pee. CRXNV says, target lock is the dumbest thing. Andonius says, I agree. Dylan says, can you get LVL 65 weapons? Andonius says, I don't even use it. Emporo says, wait is that why? Emporo says, not in PvP right? Andonius says, action combat more fun. Imaloy says, LV 65 off cowers. All Stereo says, sup noobs. Vorak says, hi. CRXNV says, dude are they ever gonna add DLSS to this game? I don't even need more FPS, I just hate this bleep anti-aliasing. MC Dooley says, it's a lot harder to get to 65 without weapons. Spooky Juki says, I chose to play on PC though, so yeah right. We're not the same. Lillian says, a data equals 0, rallying primeval ice gauntlet of the scholar, /a. Andonius says, they have FSR already. Bangdini says, be a man. Bangdini says, use fists. Fast travel. Would you like to fast travel to this location? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Imaloy says, -1 siren. Armada says, PC just better. Gritty Monster says, LF1 DPS a data equals 0, Siren Tuning Orb, /A. CRXNV says, how do you enable FSR? Andonius says, DX12 beta. Loading. Please wait. Courteous says, I'll show you my priced toy. Andonius says, turn on FSR. Courteous says, price doesn't matter. The Evil God says, DPS Siren. Armada says, Alenwar is best PC. Yuri 420 says, a data equals 0, Memories of Brightwood, Mandolin Sheet Music February 3rd, / anybody wanted I learn at BTW. CRXNV says, I gotta install a diff version on Steam. CRXNV says, BRB. Courteous says, a data equals 0, scheming grasp of the malign wind of the scholar, /A. Andonius says, no. Ashley 420 says, a data equals 0, Xander's tenderizer, /A. Dumbledore says, Zive. Courteous says, that's the thing right there. Andonius says, it asks when you start game up if you want to use DX12 beta. Courteous says, a data equals 0, Hunger of the Void, /A. Van Zen says, I'm on a mission that tells me to meet Thorpe on a field of battle and defeat him, but he is nowhere at either of the two spots. CRXNV says, oh, I didn't get that option. Courteous says, a data equals 0, Frosted Tips, /A. CRXNV says, I'll restart my game and see. Viriana Origin says, need 1 DPS for Hive. Cracker 102 says, X-Race. Andonius says, I will say though that anything other than quality FSR makes game look like bleep. Astraerathonics says, Sean Oshia you wanna do Hive? Andonius says, at least for me. Van Zen says, it's not depths. Bind item. Bound items can only be used by you and cannot be traded. Do you want to equip this item? Press circle for no, press square for yes. Andonius says, 6,800 Xi. Andonius says, XT. Courteous says, 0-0. Arcanai I says, XDPS Hive. MC Dooley says, I play on GeForce now. Astelot says, I'm playing on a GT 1030 in a slim Optiplex I got for $40. Andonius says, oof. Cracker 102 says, June 7th greens at Fort. Andonius says, big oofs all around. Lady Muffins says, a data equals 0, Heartsham, / does this ever go away, the quest been done? Minout says, XDPS hyphen. Noble Duelist says, live on Twitch at Noble Duelist TTV. New, returning, and veteran players come in and ask anything about New World or hang out and vibe with us. We are clearing Hive of Gorgon ATM. Hello Newman says, XDPS Hive. Bang Dini says, I wish watching streams made sense so. Andonius says, Series X and PS5 better than a 1030. Andonius says, oh Mao. Bang Dini says, maybe house ambience. Yuri 420 says, no one cares about streaming go on T&L. Astelot says, GT 1030 GDDR5 version is about on par with Vega 8 graphics from a 4RD Gen Ryzen APU. Bangdini says, what's that? Ferali says, I can't even find the rendering or DX11 option. Asteloth says, 3rd gen. Pocket Jacks says, WTS bulk glyphs or craft mods. Curtius says, Bleep looks better on a 1030 shrug. Dumbledore says, needs healers for Hive. Andonius says, how much RAM does a 1030 even have? White Horse Rider says, LF healer first boss. Curtius says, 0-0. Andonius says, 4 gigs.
About time I got some reinforcements.
Bangdini says, at least a gig for sure.
That's a small
Asteloth says, GT 1030 has 2 GB GDDR5.
They're good friends.
Asteloth says, there's a scam version with DDR4.
Ah, you're joking.
Andonius says, no shot this game runs on the card. Asteloth says, it runs well on this card. Bangdini says, well it's more CPU bound.
They're clearly making preparations.
Bangdini says, cause of player generation.
I get the lay of the land.
Just Baramir says, currently playing NW on my T83 calculator.
I'd consider not a problem.
Dumbledore says, XDPS Hive.
Suggest you destroy as many explosives as you
Asteloth
can
says,
and take
I
out
have
that
3x of the
There's no
GPU,
right on
one
my
with an
phone.
i7 6700, one with an i5 6500, and one with an i7 4770, all in Optiplex SFF. Asteloth says, they gaming powerhouse for 22W. Bangdini says, you're crazy. Copmeester says, I'm a Mac gamer. Andonius says, 22W. Bangdini says, fair. Andonius says, damn my laptop GPU is more than 22W. Gabe B says, phone charger PC. MC Dooley says, I'm on a Mac also. MC Dooley says, GeForce now though. Armada says, the only thing worse than a console gamer is a Mac gamer. Jeremiah says, Hive at first boss need 1 healer. Bangdini says, you didn't want it later? Andonius says, GeForce now is input lag hell. Copmeester says, I feel like Windows gamers can't afford MacBooks. Jax00 says, gaming on a Mac is like bleep in a urinal. Jeremiah says, we have any bored healers out there looking for a good time? Curtius says, a data equals 0, fire of life, /a 0-0 no healers here. Ferali says, I love this chat, I'm glad I changed region. Sneaky Turld says, press Z. Armada says, I don't want to own a MacBook. Borak says, I like turtles. Rasuk says, am healer just lazy. Armada says, at least I can afford bleep that makes my Windows PC run 10x better than a Mac. Dresnai Singkat says, man it's been a minute since I played. Lady Muffins says, you'll keep talking bleep consoles acting like they didn't save this game lol. Munzie says, anybody got that bussy? DJ93 says, X Cutlass. E Pineapples says, I love the console players. Billy Hoax says, save this game. This game's still dead just like the last 3 years. Lady Muffins says, they dead inside. Copmeester says, when you think of a Windows user, I think of a trailer park and jalapeno nachos. Armada says, nah, New World is still dead. Borak says, you are welcome for me saving the game. All Stereo says, I agree, New World dead. Astelot says, you can still log in, game is fine. The Covenant faction has thrown Everfall into a conflict state. They can now declare war. Armada says, it smell like broke in this chat. Courtree says, X-Race. Astelot says, game with 300 player is still alive if you can log in. Bangdini says, well they got their second chance. All Stereo says, are greens and perps still cowards? Andonius says, that doesn't include console. Noble Duelist says, live on Twitch at Noble Duelist TTV. On Final Boss of Hive, come check it out. Vorak says, because I'm Viking der. Madsequeen says, yes, you are capped at 60. Saucy Cuta says, so what is there to do for endgame players now? Ace Pringle says, gotcha THX. Courtree says, you can now swim. Jax00 says, because I bleep love this game. Doesn't mean AGS hasn't bleep up constantly. Courtree says, honestly, I just came back to the game because I can swim now. Armada says, sounds like a you problem, I don't have to pay monthly. Varix says, tie. Bangdini says, your first one is 11k. Burp Turkey says, well now you haver to pay monthly. Bangdini says, then 20k. Kemzik says, bat, tie. Anthony 1017 says, if you pay monthly for this game you getting scammed. Ferali says, there are 5k house, and you get it free. Lady Muffins says, no problem I can afford it lol. Pub20 says, PC equals toxic. Blood Gambit says, houses are worth it just for the trophies. Dizzy Man 125 says, because I have PC friends on this server who wanted play. Demonking 69 says, how do I enable PvP? Chef Vic says, you. Ferali says, you. Iron Ziggy says, you in a settlement or safe spot. Anthony 1017 says, go play Rust. Courtree says, X-Race. Tate Robinson says, also very gay. Notorious Jimbo says, looking for group hot the hive. Andonius says, but also insanely toxic. All Stereo says, awesome. Lady Muffins says, you can't outplay this game's auto-aim, what's the phrase? Get food. Notorious Jimbo says, looking for group for the hive. Saucy Cuta says, WW at is the hive. King Creamy says, a data equals 0, Mithril Longsword of the Soldier, / a WTS. Avian Ignite says, a data equals 0, Hoplite Greysword, / a. Damon says, remember when Rust had zombies? All Stereo says, why are you talking about children you creep? Me 11 Man says, is race done? Promua says, Hive is a new 10-person raid. Burp Turkey says, he said get gut but has using a controller in an MMO Mauna. Burp Turkey says, you sweet summer child. Cobalt Cultist says, well without a PC how else am I gonna write bleep? Dakota Dazzling says, skill issue honestly. UG Man says, foul. Anthony 1017 says, all Stereo did you wear a helmet in school? Me 11 Man says, looking for guys to do high mount? Asteloth says, controller play is a bit harder to learn, KBM is a lot quicker to pick up and is much faster at high skill. Tommy Rousseau says, LF 1 meter RDPS Hive needs 700 plus GS and disc. Kate Robinson says, bleep bleep that's not funny. Zivua Rat says, aim assist hurts more than it helps. Asteloth says, if someone can do really good on controller, they a great player. Andonius says, that is not true. Cracker 102 says, Brim race is about to start. Burp Turkey says, lol. Cracker 102 says, in 9 mins. Melted Butter says, what is the lock-on key? I just came back after launch. Melted Butter says, THX guys. Yeah says, yeah. Asteloth says, you want your Magic Johnson meat well done. DJ93 says, Scutless. Pub20 says, keyboard versus controller.
Surprised to see me, are you?
Joe 9107 says, Hive.
But in the
Laffy Taffy says, X-Cutlass.
I arrived too late. Well,
Andonius says, unpin them in journal.
even if you see,
Dizzy Man 125 says, PC was the dark ages like 15 years ago 2000s lol them PCs back then were a beast.
indeed best for pride when that
Yekum says, is better bait an option? Or just always use Fireflies?
every bit a knight of
Yeah says, yeah.
Locklear's a diabolical snake.
DJ93 says, Scutlasso.
Let's get on with it, shall we?
Dakota Dazzling says, no. Lotus Moves says, a data equals, 0, pattern, smelting clothing, / a selling 1 piece of smelter gear. Yeah says, yeah. Asteloth says, no.